Hello and welcome to another episode of Velocity Kinetics. As I rescue my phone from falling over, we're barely 10 seconds in. Just want a quick discussion about an app I've been using for a long time called Drivescore. I did a review of it maybe 12 to 18 months ago off the top of my head, and overall I was quite impressed. I knew there were obviously some limitations that they're going to have with it, and I've continued to use it since. So, an update on what that app is like to use and why I'm starting to become less than impressed. So, the Drivescore app monitors how you drive from your phone. You don't need to tell it to start journey or anything like that. It will just recognize, in theory, when you're driving, and usually it can tell the difference between when you're on the train, when you're walking, and when you're just in a car. It monitors things like how hard you brake, how hard you corner, how hard you accelerate. It's recently got things about how much CO2 you would be putting out as part of your drive. The app itself is part of Drivescore, which is it's not a credit reference agency, but it helps people track and monitor their credit scores and offers solutions, ways forward to maintain and improve, and notifies you of any things going wrong. It's potentially useful, well, very useful in the event of if someone's applied for finance in your name and you don't know anyone's done it. Since the video I did quite a while ago, I've continued to use the app. Not a problem. I believe I've changed phones 2 or 3 times since then. I can't remember if I was using a Huawei or a Motorola G8 Plus, and I'm now using a Samsung A52, which I have been for the last 2 years. But when I've transitioned between phones, it's gone fine. There's been no issues going between phones. Never gone iPhone. Apart from the fact I hate the damn things. They're just too expensive for what they are. It's just not been within my budget. Well, they really are too expensive for what they are, and it's just not been within my budget to go that way. But neither have I had an interest in doing so. This A52 has been the most expensive mobile phone I've ever had. I genuinely don't believe in paying more than £150 to £200 for a phone. It shouldn't dictate my life. I know this sounds weird, coming to you either through your phone or even more maybe hypocritical, having recorded this on my phone, but I think you get where I'm coming from, or I'd like to think you get where I'm coming from. The app itself, super intuitive. They've made changes, so I believe when I last did the video, they were still doing competitions for people who met you'd have to do a certain number of miles, stay within a certain score remit, and you were entered into competitions, typically to win a Ford Puma ST, but I did see some people who got the Fiesta, some people got a Focus, I believe even someone bought a Cougar, but it was a really good partnership, and I thought that would be a brilliant way to keep people using it. Shame I never won one of those cars. I'd like to have done, just to sell it to pay off my own car, but there we are. It's changed so you can now do things like mobile phone insurance. You can do your car insurance through it, and I did do that the other year. It was, I think it, who was I with? Been with Hastings for years, and I couldn't get a competitive quote. So I went through Drivescore, and I ended up with Admiral for the year, and I got a £50 voucher back for doing so. And I believe that went towards a monthly food shop or something just asinine. So technically, I'd saved. Yes, I could have got my insurance for £50 less in terms of total outgoing, but technically it was £50 less because I didn't spend £50 elsewhere. I tried to do them again for the last time my insurance was up for renewal. Half the companies I'd never recognised, although that is becoming a case on things like Go Compare the market and so on. Some of the companies I don't recognise and I don't feel overly confident with going with, but that's just how I feel on the matter. But it was nowhere near competitive. It was nearly twice as much as what I paid with Tesco for this year. This year with Tesco is the first time I've been able to put my car insurance out of my bank account rather than having to put it on a credit card. It's insane. the app itself has some problems. For a long time, and I believe I'd said this was a problem as well when I had the Baleno. Sometimes I just need to turn the steering wheel and it goes hard cornering. I just hit the brakes. I say hit the brakes as in I've come off the accelerator and I'm using my braking. And some days, even though I'm not heavily braking, it won't pick up on the fact that I've been gentle. It'll always be heavy braking, harsh acceleration, this, and this. And it's like, what do you want from me? Don't get me wrong, there are times where being sporty with the throttle is fun, and being late on the brakes is fun. And when I do that, I fully accept the harsh cornering, the harsh braking, harsh accelerating. Although interestingly, sometimes it doesn't pick up when you're speeding. Where was I? It was Car Chase Heroes. It 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 didn't pick up when I was doing over 100 in a Porsche. It didn't go, what the hell are you doing? Nothing like that. But it's picked up where I've been. So, it's really not very good on the speed front. And then I'm conflicted here, because usually I reach out to them on Twitter when I need help, and I send them a direct message saying, this has happened, what the hell? And usually they're pretty quick at responding. And that's a plus point. The down point is sometimes their help is not actually very helpful. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is I've recently noticed that my score is plummeting, and I've not got journeys with harsh braking, heavy cornering, harsh acceleration, you name it. I haven't got down markers on my journey. So I messaged them to say, hello, what's going on? I'm losing points left, right, and centre. If anything, my score should be staying solidly the same, if not going up, because I'm doing lots of journeys where there is no trigger for bad driving. And the response infuriated me beyond belief. My score went from being in about 970, 980 all the way down now, last I opened up the app, which was about 2 days ago, down to 907. When I've messaged and questioned about it, it's gone, oh yeah, so you're getting a mark down any time you turn the wheel. Hang on a bloody minute. So any time you turn the wheel, and even if you're not doing it in a sporty manner, or exuberant, or whatever word you want to use, if you're not doing a harsh turn, you're still getting marked down. Where I live, I've come out of my main road and make just over a 90-degree left onto the road out of my estate, and then I've got not even 20 meters, and then I've got to make another nearly 90-degree turn. So you're telling me that just every time I leave my house and come back, I'm getting marked down for doing that turn? And they basically said, pretty much. And then when I've questioned, well, why you always saying I'm doing harsh braking as well, they've gone, well, is your phone secured in your car? Is it rocking around, rolling around, that sort of thing? And I'd understand their argument if I kept it on the passenger seat so it could fly off or slide around, or if it wasn't in the phone tray when I was using Android Auto, for example, if it was just again sliding about, their argument would hold some water. But it really doesn't hold any water. My phone is always in my pocket when I'm driving because it's convenient. The only time it's not in my pocket is on the rare occasion Sarah's needing to deal with something for me, so then it's in her handbag or in her hand for something. And that is very uncommon these days, because not as in I don't trust her with my phone, because I realise that could be construed as, what are you hiding from your wife? It's nothing like that at all. It's just I try and avoid her having to do stuff like that, because there are work things on my phone, much like how I try not to do anything on her phone, because she also uses her phone for work, and there are bits to do with patients that I could accidentally see. There are bits not fit for the customers of the bank I work for. And even then, if she was a staff member of the bank I work for, there's even some stuff that I can't even tell staff members. so it's usually in my pocket, and it's not like it's loose in a pocket. So not like a big Velcro pocket like you would have, say, on some cargo combat trousers, combat shorts, that sort of thing. Usually, it's in a standard pocket for like I have for on my jeans. And I've lost weight recently since I joined the weight management program. I think I'm down 10 kilos or something like that. So admittedly, things are looser in my pocket than they were. But I also sit very upright in my car. So usually my phone is digging into me down here. So it is as secure as it can be. I've used my fatness proactively, if you want to be blunt about it. And they're saying, "Oh yes, because your phone's rattling around." Like, I'm not buying. I am not buying a phone mount for my car. I am not buying a phone mount for my car. I'm not spending out on a quad lock or any cheap alternative. And even if I was fortunate enough for Quad Lock to sponsor Velocity Kinetics in any capacity, I probably wouldn't use the use it, because it just gets in the way. I don't like having clutter on my dashboard. I don't like having clutter on my windscreen. I'm not one of these people who could have a sat nav and this and that and that and that all glued on and still drive quite happily. It took me a very long time to get used to having my dash cam where it is. And I know some people might go, well, then it's not in the right place if it took you a long time to get used to. The way I was brought up, my dad was always, windscreen's got to be clear. Apart from the tax disc, windscreen has to be clear, even if you've left a parking ticket in the windscreen. No, that's bad. Can't. That infuriated me so much that they've said that it's basically any time I turn the wheel or brake, etc. It's nuts. The app is not as good as it once was. They've made quite a significant, in my opinion, they've made quite a significant step backwards. It still cannot factor in how you're driving. So, for instance, and I would say anyone with a hybrid more than a mild hybrid, so a hybrid like what I've got in the form of the Suzuki Swiss, i.e. most of the Toyota range, or plug-in hybrid, things that can go onto electric for very extended periods of time. And it brings up this alert to say you used put out X grams or kilograms of CO2 in that journey. It doesn't take into consideration how long the car's been running on electric, so I haven't been putting out CO2. The other day I really teased the throttle in the Swiss and made it run on battery power as much as it could. And according to the Swiss's own dial, because within the dashboard there's a section where you can find out what your ratio of electric power to petrol power was, and I'd gotten home on it wasn't 75% electric, but I know it was more than 65. I'll just say 17, split the difference. I think it was more like 68, 69, I think, but we'll just say 70 just to split the difference between the two. I'd gone home on about 70% electric, and ClearScore saying, "Oh yeah, you put out all this CO2." Like, no, I didn't. Because your car can't work out, so your app can't work out when my car is running on electric or not. We come back round to this whole impact. Really, the only way ClearScore is ever going to work properly, or ClearScore, Drivescore. I even had the same problem when I did the video last time. The only way Drivescore is ever going to work properly if they change the app to such a way that it only works and only records when you've plugged it in, and it's running off Android Auto, so it can or Apple. I want to say Apple CarPlay, but that doesn't sound right. But whatever the Apple equivalent is, it should then be able to interface with everything your car is doing. That is how it should do it. If OBD2 devices like Carly can tell you how much steering angle you're putting in, how much throttle is running, at what cylinders are firing at what rate, then Drivescore should be able to do something similar to tell you how well you've been driving and get an accurate read on everything. I'm sure there's a setting in the Swiss, certainly I believe it exists in the Corolla, where you can find out how much CO2 you did put out. So what's the point? Don't get me wrong, it's also got some handy extra features now, like remind you when your MOT is due. However, if you don't know when your MOT is due, that's not my problem. That shouldn't really be Drivescore's problem. If you own the car, you should know when its MOT is due. you should know what its service schedule is. That's the sign I've got to go to another meeting. Sorry for the rantiness of this. But yeah, it's all. Oh, I will try and come back in a few minutes after this meeting with a little bit more positivity on the subject if I can, but it's just a royal pain in the tush. Okay, so let's go to Drivescore. Show you an overview of what it's doing. So my score has gone down, there we go, 906, taking its sweet ass time to load. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fairly quick at updating, but it's not right. See, I've got journeys, plenty of journeys going. Ah, damn phone. Cornering, well, I do enjoy a little bit of exuberant cornering from time to time. Braking, you have to do some exuberant braking to do the exuberant cornering, but I also just like to let the car roll in. Acceleration, I don't speed very much, as you can see, because usually it's just when I've not sighted the speed limit sign and i.e. it's too late. Phone distraction, that took forever to work out. Not long ago it was saying I'd used my phone and I could not find where I had. I don't believe this number is correct, because I have driven, my Suffice has got 30,000 miles on it, just short of, and it's I wish it still had that small mileage number on it. It should do now, really, but it doesn't, because of all the mileage I had to do. I've done more than 1,004 drives. So I mean, I guess I'm still above average within it, but it's still not ideal. View trips, so you can show trips you didn't drive. So I've got all these journeys, and you see my score has just gone perpetually down. But I've got to go back quite a way. So these journeys, I had to classify myself as passenger, because I believe I was a taxi that day. No, it wasn't. What was I doing? 58 miles. My friend was driving. That's what that was going on. In their car, so you have to tell it afterwards. But you can also use that, I guess, wrongly to your benefit, where you could use a friend's driving to improve your own score. Bit flawed, but hence why I think it should be something that you plug in and it should work a bit like a Carly reader does. I go out most days, and it's just because I turn the steering wheel. That's half the problem. What happened here? Compine Way. I think that was a heavy braking incident, was it not? Hard braking, yeah. Because some pleb had pulled out in front of me. So I'm going to get... The ultimate problem I still have with it is, like, around things like the braking, is you're subject to everyone else, which is not abnormal, but you still have... You're still penalised if someone pulls out in front of you and slams the brakes on, and then in turn I slam my brakes on. I've either then got to reclassify the trip, which again you can do, and boost your score, or you can just take it on the chin. And sometimes it seems so bizarrely sensitive. I've had times where when I've been driving up to Newcastle, my wife has it on her phone, has Drivescore as well, and there was one bit where she compared traffic. My phone had dropped out, did not recognise I was driving, and it hadn't put it into the show where it says show me non-driven trips. So it hadn't recognised I was driving. There was about 100 miles, nothing. On hers it said perfect, mine nothing. And another occasion where mine claimed I was doing tons of heavy braking, and again hers was fine. No idea. In fairness, though, it is on a stretch of the A1 where, when Sarah's playing her Spotify, we do seem to have a problem with it dropping out, or at least it throws a hissy fit. But yeah, there we are. So insurance, you can continue a quote. The screen hasn't really changed very much. So let's have a look and see all of this. What we'll do is we'll just do it as if it was going to start at some point there. 150 is what I have. and I don't do the miles I used to, so let's take that down. I think I took it down to 13,000 on my Tesco quote. And I am up to that now with no claims. So skip through so you don't see the names of other people I've got on here. I have the additional drivers on my car rather than I have Sarah on, even though she's a learner, because the other year it was cheaper to insure Sarah as a learner than it was to insure my sister, who's been driving 15 plus years. It was absolutely nuts. Then I have my brother on because he doesn't have a car, and it's just to give him access to a vehicle should he need it. And I have my mum on because a few years ago my dad had had quite a major health complication, and they suddenly realised it was only my mum that was insured to drive the cars. So given it was quite an emotional and very draining time, where mum could have really done without driving, I've made sure they've always insured on my cars. So if such an event happens again, we can be nice and take the stress away. Although this is now giving me some more insurance companies I actually recognise. The other, never heard of GoGo. Insure to Drive, I've never heard of. Car Expert, I've never heard of. Rightshaw, unless they're an offshoot of eShore, I've never heard of. Swinton, I've heard of. Never heard of Car Insurance, never heard of One Click. Never heard, no, I think I might have heard of Hedgehog. I never heard of NCI, never heard of Brightside. Quote Line Direct, never heard. Never heard of Apricot. Swinton again. Freedom Brokers, never heard of. Hastings, that's who I was with. Devitt, don't know who that is. Got You Covered, don't know. Go Skippy, yeah, I've heard of them. Vista, never heard of. Arkwright, never heard of. A-Choice, never heard of. Never heard of them. Hastings Direct, I've obviously heard of. People's Choice, might have done. Never heard of Principal. Quote Me Happy, that's obviously a part of Aviva. General Accident, I believe I've heard of them. But it's whatever search engine is powering that is not very good because there's not the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's on there, Marks and Spencers, the AA, RAC. The other year, if it wasn't Hastings, if Hastings couldn't suddenly beat my insurance, Compare the Market said that my car was cheaper to insure through Ford, and it's not even like it's a damn Ford brand, but it's yeah. So you can put your car details in. So there we go. It's got all my car. Can't tell me when I've got to tax it. Doesn't tell me when the finances got to do this. Let's have a look and see if it will pull through anything new. No, that's a damn shame. That's a bit concerning that they've got this bit for tax and it can't find it. Freaking ridiculous. More, then you've obviously got your leaderboard, so you can create a leaderboard with friends. You could share it to colleagues, friends, family, what have you. But as a whole, the app hasn't changed an awful lot, but they've lost the competitions, which I think is a shame. Bits of it are just frustrating. 924 is what my overall score should be, more like, not the 906. But see what I mean? Bits of it are a bit bloody frustrating. So there we are. I hope you can see what I'm coming at, that the Drivescore app seems to... It's kind of dropped the ball in some aspects. It's not quite as good as it used to be. It's a little bit more frustrating. It's... For me, at least, it's penalising me a lot, which personally I don't think is that fair. It still has a lot of the same flaws. Some of the plus points for it have gone. I still continue to use it though, because don't get me wrong, it is handy to know what I've done, where I've been, and it is curious at times to... Sometimes it is a fun game to see just how hard you can accelerate or how hard you can brake, before it suddenly goes, oh yeah, you shouldn't have done that. But it's still not ideal. Apologies, this video sort of seems a bit ranty and a bit disjointed, but it does feel that to me. because of what it is. It's not what Drivescore's doing and how it's sort of so simple yet frustrating all at once. It's winding me up a bit. As an early adopter, it's not. There's no loyalty for continuing to use it. Granted, that they shouldn't give you less penalties because you've used it longer, but there's no, you've covered X number of miles, you're entered into this competition or this sweepstake, for example, or there should be more by virtue of money back or vouchers or something like that for buying your insurance, even if it's a multiplier. So you buy your insurance through Drivescore in the first year, that's £50. You do it again the second year, that becomes 75, for example. I do think its biggest problem is it needs to. I'm not really one to advocate mobile phone use in the car. No, not at all. But I think maybe it needs to consider, given how unfair it can penalise you, and particularly around the CO2 side of things as well. I think they should find a way of integrating that into the car's entertainment system, as in you connect your phone via CarPlay or Android Auto, and then it should be able to get the data from there. Because if we're all going hybrid, now I personally think, on an aside, I think Toyota have got it right that we're not going to be able to go full electric. It's just not possible at the moment. But better hybrids are probably the best stopgap we've got. And if you're going to get, if you're really eco-conscious, you know, you're getting told wrong information about your CO2 output. Now, if by some chance the car has worked out when I've been on electric and petrol, I'd like to know how it's done that. Sorry, the phone even, sorry. If the app has somehow worked out if I've been on petrol or electric, I'd like to know how it's done that. Because I can't see how, without it potentially violating all sorts of listening in rules, although granted most of us go, yeah, I've read your terms and conditions. This further update, so to speak, with Drivescore leaves a sour taste in the mouth at the moment. But that's not to say don't download it. It's a very useful tool, don't get me wrong. It's probably the best way to sign this off. By telling you to drive safe, because Drivescore will tell you to drive safe, and to look after yourselves, because Drivescore technically, by telling you to drive safe, is telling you to look after yourselves. But I suppose this is best summed up by one of my teachers, really. School report, naturally, where this would come from. It said it in two places and earned me a very unfair grounding and quite an unfair telling off, in my opinion. One of these was in my art section of my school report. Art is not my forte. I can take nice pictures with a camera, and that's only something I've recently got into. Recently as in probably since 2013, 2012 sort of area, really. It was never really something I was that interested in before, beyond potentially what a teenage boy thinks with photography. It's a way to get girls to take their clothes off, and I'm not going to hide away from that, because I did think that at one point as a teenager. But anyway, back on topic. It was something within my art section of my school report, and it was also under maths. Maths, again, is not something I was ever very good at. I've gotten better with it over time, because I've worked in industries, working in work for two banks. I've had to improve my maths on the fly. So you want help with algebra? No, can't do that. Not very well. Area of a circle, might just about be able to do that. BODMAS, I can't remember that. But if you need help adding on multiplying and subtracting and dividing on the fly, or need a pretty good estimate, massively improved over what it used to be. But those two bits of my school report and Drivescore have one thing in common. Both those sections said must do better and can do better. And that's what I say to Drivescore. You must do better and you can do better.